This is Ami Mizuno. That is a hive-inducing love letter. And these are all facts about Sailor Mercury. Hey out there, BubbleTube fans! Lucky Sean here, ready to bring you some deep facts about Japan's favorite Sailor Scout, Sailor Mercury. All Sailor Scouts have depth in them, but none run quite as deep as Sailor Mercury's. To truly appreciate the significance of her character, one would need to understand how she epitomizes the ideal Japanese student. First, we'll look at some fun facts about her civilian life, including her allergies to love letters, how her life goals are influenced by Japanese society, and then let's dive deeper into facts like how her powers are influenced from an ancient interaction with Hades. Let's dive right in. To an outsider, Ami Mizuno appears to be a regular school student with an affinity for studying, but boy oh boy does it go deeper than that. Born September 10th, 1978, standing at 5'2", this 14-year-old middle school student has managed to consistently score at the top of her school. Well, what a virtuously Virgo thing to do. Her good grades are a direct manifestation of her hobbies, including reading, playing chess, and being a computer nerd. Okay, maybe not nerd, but she is pretty darn savvy with technology. Her favorite food is a good old sandwich, which may be based on practicality. It's a food she can eat with one hand while studying with the other. And her least favorite food is yellowtail tuna. Ah, weird. And I thought tuna was brain food. But more about her brains. Her favorite school subject is mathematics, while her least favorite subject is, well, apparently to nobody's surprise, she doesn't have a least favorite subject. Perhaps due to her A blood type. Oh, that is a terrible joke. But Amy isn't a fan. Wait, Amy? Ami? That always happens. Ami isn't a fan of practical jokes and is allergic to love letters. Yeah, you heard that right. In Japan, one's blood type is thought to directly influence one's temperance. Ami's blood type is type A, which according to her Ketsuyigata means she is cooperative and creative, yet can be uptight. And I can see this. She is there to help and collaborate when needed, but is uptight with her boundaries around studying, as it directly links to her goals. One item that is not on her goal list is romance, and certainly not love letters. And a special short shown in theaters as an opener for the Super S Sailor Moon movie, titled Ami's First Love Letter, we see, spoiler alert, Ami getting her very first love letter. The extremely unexpectedness of this event instantaneously led to Ami having an acute atopic dermatitis, meaning she developed hives out of sheer awkwardness. Later in the episode, a yokai, haunting the cram school she attends outside of regular school hours, follows her home and plagues her with even more love letters. But fear not, our dear Ami manages to regain her calm, cool, collective self and extinguishes the monster in full. We also gain some interesting insight about Ami. She discloses that her ideal man is none other than Albert Einstein. Now, one may see this as a typical nerd trope, however, it ties in perfectly with their life goals, which are directly influenced by the pressures of Japanese society. Either that, or she's into older German gentlemen, and that probably tracks. But I'll leave that up for interpretation. Ultimately, Ami wants to be a doctor like her mother, Seiko Mizuno. Family pressure to follow in one's parents' footsteps is compounded by Japanese societal pressure. Well, there's nothing like being born into obligation. Her father, who is never explicitly named, is a traveling artist who divorced Seiko to pursue his dreams. These two factors are briefly explored in the manga, yet manifest without full explanation in the anime. In episode 62, Ami is offered a chance to go study abroad in Germany. The neat juxtapose here is that she considers following both her parents' paths at once. First, her mother's by pursuing medicine, and secondly, her father's by leaving her friends and family to move abroad to follow her passion. Ultimately, Ami decides to follow her own path. She chooses her cherished friendships with her newfound family. And yes, this might seem like a cliche and super mushy, feel-good, happy ending type of deal, but this was a pivotal moment in her character development. She broke her own perfect character mold by doing so. She did the exact opposite of what the Japanese viewers would expect by this model student in a modern society, which it actually is quite profound when you consider the cultural significance behind it. Japanese society has some hard and fast rules. For instance, the nail that sticks out gets pounded down, which basically equates the continuation of homogenization. Blend in and don't stand out, or else. This is implemented into measures such as school uniforms. Everyone is to look the same, and so everyone becomes equal. Even one's hair ideally is to be straight, and uniform with everyone else is to not stand out. It can be seen as dressing up and trying to stand out if one does not conform. Now, you may be thinking, well, if that's the case, how come Makoto wears a different uniform to school than her classmates? Very keen of you to notice. Basically has to do with her size. Which, that's something we can explore another time. Perhaps part of the reason why anime is so popular in Japan is the fantasy of being able to stand out. In anime, hair colors and styles are a distinguishing factor which allow for individuality and uniqueness, and ultimately self-expression, all of which would normally not be allowed in the real world of modern-day Japanese society. Circling back to that lovely societal pressure, academics in Japan are no joke, and are quite different from Western-influenced culture of being guaranteed entry into middle and high school. Japanese students must study for aptitude tests, which give them admittance to more prestigious middle and high schools in the form of entrance exams. Typically, most school-age children are expected to attend study schools or cram sessions after their regular school hours to increase their odds against their peers. Ami perfectly personifies this in the anime. She's always seen studying, being the voice of reason, and reminding others to study and declining outings to go study. This type of behavior is expected of young studying students in Japanese society. The fact that Ami has time for studying, time for her friends, and fighting the Dark Kingdom, Dark Moon, or Negaverse, or whatever iteration we're trying to use, is beyond impressive in the eyes of Japanese viewers. Tying this back to her decision to choose her friends is an uncharacteristic blow to the once perfect model student archetype. But her decision is justified as a moral victory through personal growth following in what she thinks is right. Gotta love some character growth. Alright, I'm gonna level with you. I've always wondered why Sailor Mercury has water powers when Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. How the heck does that make sense? Shouldn't be like a Pluto power or something? Okay, so let's look at some of the Japanese etymology and then link it to some Greek mythology to fully understand. The planet Mercury, written in Japanese kanji, is Suise, which literally translates to water star. Thus, we see Ami Mizuno being a waterbender, or water welder. If you look at her name, it's a nice little nod to the origin of her power. Her Japanese name, Ami Mizuno, means Ami of water, or friend of water, which is way better than her English name, Amy Anderson. This is consistent for all interstellar senshi. Each of their powers are derived from the literal meaning of their respective planets. The outer senshi get a bit more complex, integrating more Greek mythology. The ties to ice and water don't stop there, though. Let's take a look from a lens of Greek mythology and astrology. Mercury is the ruling planet of Virgo, which in most ontologies is associated with virginity and wheat. This fits in perfectly for Ami, being allergic to love letters and her favorite food being made of wheat. Again, it's a bit of a stretch. But let's look at some new specific godlike figures and deepen those connections. First, from the deadly queen Demeter and the messenger man, Hermes. Immediately identifiable as the Greek goddess of harvest, Demeter also presides over the cycles of life and death, which might also be the influence of Ami's desires of being a doctor. Now, I'm kind of embarrassed that Hermes is not mentioned here because Hermes, his staff is called the caduceus, which is the symbol of medical in North America. So I'm sorry, original Bulbatube, you missed that one, and I'm adding that in. That's a Lucky Sean original. Demeter's connection to ice comes from the winter, which was a manifestation of her mourning the loss of her daughter. Loss of her daughter? Here, let me just borrow a Greek mythology book from Ami here for a second. Oh, thank you, Ami. And, yes, here it is. A lovely tale of kidnapping, forced marriage, displacing anger on mortals, and the warmth of a mother's love. Demeter had a daughter named Persephone, also known as Cora. No, not that Cora, but I appreciate anyone's brain who wandered there.
What the hell kind of name is Persephone?
She was the Greek goddess of spring and rebirth.
So,
she was carried off to Hades by the king of the underworld.
And to be wed to him in the underworld. Angry at the loss of her daughter, she did what any rational deity would do. Take it out on helpless mortals. Misery loves company, and Demeter wanted others to feel her feeling of emptiness and bestowed a barren winter onto the lands in which no crops could grow. Zeus, shocked to learn about this reaction. See what I did there? Shocked? No? Okay. Saw the safe return of Persephone and went to the underworld himself.
While there, she ate 6 pomegranates.
Unfortunately, because Persephone has already eaten 6 seeds of the underworld pomegranate, she was now bound to Hades. Talks were had, negotiations were made, and ultimately this led to the agreement that Persephone was to remain in the underworld for 1 month for each seed she ate. Persephone's return to the overworld was met with her mother's warmth, resulting in spring, growing into summer. Upon her descent back down to the underworld, Demeter's dismay declined directly into fall and then winter. And thus we have the Greek mythology around the turn of seasons. Oh, and more importantly, the connection of wintry ice to Demeter, and by extension, how this is put onto Sailor Mercury. As for our hardworking Hermes, it's much simpler. Hermes, or Mercury, as the Romans called him, was the messenger of the gods, being able to deliver important information that others would otherwise not have access to, just like our little brainiac. Sailor Mercury, with her ballistic eyewear, sometimes referred to as goggles or a visor. Let's look at more of her powers by looking at the names of her attacks. Shaban Spray was turned into the iconic Mercury Bubble Blast in the original English dub.
Mercury Bubble Blast!
In future iterations, it was turned into Mercury Aqua Mist to match the live-action series. And Shine Aqua Illusion. Got a more menacing name of Mercury Ice Storm Blast. Ow, that's way cooler. Personally, I kind of wish she ended up having some kind of water healing ability. That would have been a nice touch, what with her whole medicine thing. Perhaps that would have taken away from Sailor Moon's healing abilities. And that's okay. Ultimately, Ami uses her brain as a weapon of choice, and the team has fully benefited from her brilliance. Ami has a rumored IQ of 3,000, which would be damn impressive if it were true, but later it turns out that is actually over 3,000! Oh, Nappa. I sometimes wonder what Vegeta Scouter would say about Sailor Mercury. Oh, I love that reference. And with that amazingly high IQ, we are later happy to learn in 1999 in a one-off manga called Parallel Sailor Moon that Ami does, in fact, become a doctor. While we're talking about nerds, did you know that Umino, or as we first found him in English-speaking countries, Melvin, has a cousin and is seen in the Sailor V manga? Yep, the one and only Amano Kurikazu. Usagi is also seen in the Sailor V manga before starring in her own, and to no surprise, so is Ami. What's even more neat is that Rei Hino is also seen in codename Sailor V, already establishing her psychic powers. And now, it's time for Lucky Sean Says. Feeling like your Mercury is in permanent retrograde? Feeling like you'll never fit in and have a boyfriend? And did Tina Fey from Mean Girls travel back in time into a separate universe to force you to become a mathlete? Well, sadly, that will only hinder your progress. This will only make men compete against you and not for you. It is high time to get him to notice you. Remove all distractions of other potential women in his life, but be careful so he doesn't notice. Best time to do this is when his guard is down. Just be prepared that if he finds out that you've been stalking him, he'll probably move out of town. But remember, you miss every shot you don't take. Lucky Sean says, tee-hee. Check out this epic Sailor Mars fact video and to learn all about her Shinto priestess ways of life. Or check out this collection of random Sailor Moon facts.